going to do roasted butternut squash with sage and butter. So to do that, I need to peel a butternut squash. To describe a butternut squash to those of you who may not know what it has a very fat end, and it gets skinny really quickly and then narrows down nicely. This is the oddest shaped one I've ever seen in that it actually has really nice lines through it. So I mean, this one is probably a little older than most of the ones we would buy in the store. Usually it's a skinny kind of hand's width or so, and then a big fat bulb at the end. And I am just going to cut it in half. And it's a very tough squash to cut in half because it is solid squash for all of that skinny portion I talked about. And I'm just rotating the squash to get the knife in through, and I'm now going to flip it around in half, or flip it around, stick my knife back into the groove I've made, and use some leverage here and cut. And voila! Now the interesting thing about a squash is, like I said, it's all solid in that skinny part, and there's a tiny little circular ball area where the seeds are. You're just going to want to scoop out these seeds. So I'm literally just scooping all the pulp that the seeds are in into a bowl with my finger. And I'm going to get a spoon and just use the edge of the spoon to scrape the inside of this little ball shape. And that gets all the hairy seed pod stuff off. There we go. That's cleaned. I'll clean the other half off now. All right, so I just rinsed these under the tap just to get rid of any of the loose, soft stuff. And now I'm going to show you quickly how to peel them. What you're going to want to do is go from side to side, put it flat on the cutting board and go side to side and make little half discs. And what you're going to want to do now is you've got these discs or these kind of half circles, and you're just going to take your knife and you're going to cut the utmost outer edge off. So I'm cutting off a very thin slice to get the peel off on the outer edge, and just that peel edge is all you want off. They're very tiny. I'm going about 1 inch around the circle because it's pretty hard to get all the peel. I have seen a couple people who can cut these and just cut an entire strip and get it in one blow. I can't do that. So I just cut the strips off. There we go, all peeled. And now I'm just going to make it into large cubes. And they're about inch by inch cubes, and they're just going to go on my baking dish. I'm going to finish cutting the rest of this squash and we'll be back. All right, so very quickly now, our butternut squash has been cubed. Take a look at that. It's all peeled nicely. We're going to put a tiny splash of water in here, less than a tablespoon. And now I'm going to just put some salt and pepper on. I'm just going to quickly grate some salt over this. Toss it. Grate some pepper over it. And some sage. I'm just pouring the sage into my hand. I want a nice little portion of sage. About, I'd say that felt like just under a tablespoon's worth. I'm just tossing everything now. We're going to put the lid on this and stick it in the oven for about 15 minutes. You put the lid on so it steams it more than roasts it first. And then I'll put this stick of butter in, like this. And we're just going to put this in the oven now and let it roast for about 15 minutes. Then I will toss it again and add that stick of butter, and then we will roast it until it's soft. So So here we have our butternut squash. It's been in the oven for about 15 minutes and it's much softer, but it's not at all browned yet. And I'm just going to toss in our stick of butter now. It has started to steam in the oven and the smell is very much of the pepper and the sage. You can smell it all already. And I'm just going to put a stick of butter in and I'm just going to break it up by hand into 3 chunks, 4 chunks. Put the lid back on. And now it's going to cook for half an hour. Pause. All right, so here we have our squash and it's now nicely softened. The pieces are very tender to the fork. I just toss it a little bit here and we're going to put it back in the oven now with the lid off. All right, we'll be back in about 10:15 and we should have our dinner ready. Here is our butternut squash and it's now nicely browned. All the steam has been let out and this is ready to go. This will be a very nice side dish. I hope you make it. Please press subscribe and let me know what else you'd like me to make for you.